I'm going to call this meeting to order and just take the time to welcome everyone that is here this afternoon, staff, student, community members, those online tonight. Welcome to our June meeting, June 10, 2024. This afternoon, before I ask my colleagues to help me approve the agenda, and even before the land acknowledgement, I just want to make a comment tonight that this board, we operate by policies and procedures and bylaws that governs how our board meetings are run, in-camera meeting, private meeting, everything of such. Every meeting that we run is on the open up. Meetings are scheduled through our governance department and no one else. And notice I've served every single time that we hold a meeting, and it's also in my duty as chair to call meetings to inform my colleagues of any information that is relevant to our work as trustees. So thank you tonight. And I'm just gonna ask staff to play our land acknowledgement and our national anthem. Thank you.
The land upon which we work, live, and sustain ourselves is the ancestral and treaty lands of the Michizagig and Anishinaabe, also known today as the Mississaugas of the Credit, the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land. We also recognize the rich pre-contact history and relationships which include the Anishinaabe and the Ongwe Hongwe.
Since European contact, this land continues to be home to Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. As responsible community members, we value the diversity, dignity, and worth of all people.
Colonialism displaced and dispossessed Indigenous peoples of their ancestral land
and continues to deny their basic human rights, dignities, and freedoms.
We are committed to learning true history to reconcile, make reparations, and fulfill our treaty obligations to the original peoples and our collective responsibilities to the lands, water, animals, and each other for future generations.
Thank you. And before I ask trustees to approve the agenda tonight, I would like to take the time to welcome Matthew, new staff member joining us. Matthew will be replacing Randy Wright. Matthew and I have worked together maybe for the last 5 or 6 years or so on Stopper, and come to us with a lot of experience. And I know he's going to do great work for this board. And I can't say, sorry to where he's coming from. I won't call in a name, but this is an addition and a great addition to our board. So Matthew, can we just say welcome to Peel Board? By the way, the best board in the province. And we want to also welcome Brian Hobbs tonight that is here. We will hear from him later. Brian is the CEO for, or the ED rather, for the Learning Foundation, and we'll hear from him later. He has some cheerleaders along with him tonight, and we're going to look forward to hearing from them later on in the program. So with this at this time, I'm going to ask Trustee Joe Hall, trustee Stan Cameron, can you put this agenda on the floor for me? All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Any declaration of conflict of interest? I'm seeing none. Trustee Hobbs, pay attention to the online for me, please, so I can know who, if anybody raised their hand, please and thank you. Okay, we're gonna move down to item 6, which is staff recognition, and under 6.1 is our retirements, and I'm gonna turn it over to the vice chair of the board to recognize our staff that are retiring this year, this month. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Green, and through you. Each month, the Peel District School Board recognizes the staff members who are retiring or have recently retired. Today, we are happy to recognize our 40 staff members who are retiring from service. Among them are 32 classroom teachers, 1 vice principal, 1 head custodian, 2 custodians, 1 school attendant, 1 educational assistant special needs, 1 educational assistant behavioral, 1 office manager. All names and the titles of the retirees are displayed here on the screen. We thank all the retirees for their service and dedication to the board, students, families, and the community. It is through the collective work and efforts of our staff that make a positive difference in the lives of our students, their families, and the communities. Your commitment to help each student achieve to the best of their ability is appreciated. We wish the very best for your happy retirement. Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chair Chahal. Trustee Jill Promoli and Trustee Davies are putting these on the floor for me. Any question, concerns? See none. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. We're going to move down to item 7, which is the chair announcement. And tonight I just have one minor announcement that I would like to make, is that as you heard last board meeting, we announced the board approved the director appraisal that we conducted and carried out. I just wanted my colleagues to know that we are working on the report, and hopefully by the end of next week, I will be sending it off to ministry. So just let you know that we'll be on time. Thank you. Trustee Bailey and Trustee Benjamin move in receipt of that. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. And now I'm going to move down to item 8 and the director, on the director's report, and the director do have a report.
Thank you, Chair Green, and through you, I'd like to present an end of school year report. It was just over 9 months ago in August of 2023 that we kicked off the school year at Starting Point under the theme, "The Future is Now." And it was during that event that we spoke of the 3 priorities intended to advance achievement outcomes and experiences for every student. Achievement of learning outcomes in core academic skills, preparation of students for future success, and student engagement and well-being. As we approach the end of the school year, I'd like to take the next few minutes this evening to highlight some of the leadership work across the system that went into taking action upon these priorities. And when I speak about leadership, I mean leadership at all levels. After all, the culture we've been working so hard to foster is one that encourages everyone to be a leader. Let us start with leading for learning. When we lead for learning, we are laying the groundwork to ensure that the curriculum, programs, and real-world learning experiences that we provide serve the needs of students, preparing them with the skills and resources they need to excel in their chosen paths. And student voice is critical to this. Over the past school year, we have developed many industry and academic partnerships benefiting students and staff alike. Through our many partnerships, staff have gone above and beyond to prepare students for their future. In collaboration with Canada Learning Code, for instance, 200 grade 11 and 12 students and 25 staff are working towards the completion of the Google Data Analytics Certificate Program. I'm proud to say that a vice principal at Turner Fenton Secondary School became the first staff member to complete the certification in May. And that's not an easy feat. And starting in September, the first cohort of Peel District School Board students are anticipated to begin the Future of Healthcare program, an admissions pathway program developed in partnership with Toronto Metropolitan University that encourages students to consider post-secondary academic pursuits and careers in healthcare and related fields. This program is one of many that aims to achieve improved representation of equity-deserving groups in a vital economic field where they have been historically underrepresented, and in this case, healthcare. That takes us to the second leadership strategy I'd like to speak about, which is leading for equity. Leading for equity involves centering student learning and well-being around every decision we make, challenging the status quo and dismantling barriers to ensure every student has the opportunity to achieve their dreams. The annual YANA Youth Conference is an excellent example of how we are creating affinity spaces for Two-Spirit and LGBTQIA+ students so they know they are valued and respected for who they are. This year's two-day YANA event, which stands for You Are Not Alone, saw nearly 600 students participate from 56 middle schools and 32 secondary schools. Nearly 100 educators also participated in professional learning at the conference. And just last week, to celebrate the culmination of the first ever Aga Khan Museum School and Residence program named Joy, the Art of Connection, Peel District School Board and the Aga Khan Museum presented a student art exhibition showcasing the accomplishments of more than 100 Peel District School Board students who completed the inaugural School and Residence program. And we hope that this program will only continue to grow. Finally, we have the leadership strategy leading for community. When we lead for community, we nurture supportive relationships that create a sense of belonging across all learning and workspaces in Peel District School Board. It's about understanding and respecting one another's identities and differences and creating a strong community through the lens of our shared stories. Leading for community is also about practicing global citizenship, integrating climate justice and sustainability into everyday learning. At starting point, I had posed the question, how are we bringing people, cultures, and communities together to create an eco-friendly world? Again, leaders from across the board have shown the remarkable things that can be achieved working together and centering student voice. For example, Peel District School Board's Indigenous Education team collaborated with a number of valued community partners to host the board's first ever powwow just over 1 week ago. Nearly 800 people experienced the all-day celebration, from students to community members. And for Indigenous students and staff, the powwow was an important act of reclamation of their identities and traditions. And it was a beautiful way to share their culture and traditions with the larger community. From an energy and sustainability perspective, in May, we marked 15 years of Peel Eco Schools with a celebration that saw students, staff, and trustees from Peel District School Board, along with our co-terminus board, plant more than 400 trees and shrubs. In 2023 alone, participating eco schools from the two boards diverted 272.1 kilogram of waste from landfills. Another significant milestone was the second year of the Harold M. Brathwaite Secondary School SDG STEAM Challenge based on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals adopted by the United Nations. Organized with the support of 200 grade 11 and 12 student leaders, nearly 400 grade 6 to 10 students participated from the family of schools who attended, nurturing a love for STEAM while devising solutions to address the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It was so inspiring that it encouraged grade 12 student Chinmay, a member of the SDG leadership team, to create Firewatch, an AI app for predicting and managing forest fires with peers from Turner Fenton Secondary School. His app, for which he won the Peel District School Board Award of Excellence in Sustainability last month, secured a $10,000 Ontario government grant aiming to expand its use across Canada. With exemplary leadership across the board, it has been an incredible year for Peel District School Board. I'd like to thank all staff and administrators for their ongoing support, hard work, and dedication. This year has not been without its challenges, but one that's certainly punctuated by the many opportunities we have collectively created for students to build their confidence, to develop the skills and knowledge they need to succeed now and in the future, and to be proud of who they are and who they aspire to become. I'm grateful to the amazing staff, administrators, and senior team we have, and I extend my sincere thanks and appreciation to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Saru. Much appreciate that report, and I'm just gonna ask Trustee House and Trustee Cole to put that report on the floor. Does anyone have any question for the director on the report? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? Thank you. Carries. Thank you. Amazing. All right. Great. At this time, I'm going to move down to item 9. And over the last year, we have two amazing student trustees that serve with us, one in the north and one in the south. And tonight, both of them will give us just a 2-minute snap of what they have done, and to thank their peers for electing them and allow them to serve. I know Trustee Shritzi is on her way. I know she's always here in time, but even if she come late, if the board will indulge me to allow her to say a few words to us tonight. But Trustee Amar is here, and he wants to say thank you to the board, so I'm going to allow him at this time to go ahead and give his thanks.
Dear respected board members, as my term as the student trustee for South Peel is coming to an end, I wanted to take the time today to reflect on the past 11 months. It has been an amazing journey filled with countless opportunities to interact with new people and hear their stories. Throughout the year, I had the privilege of attending the last 2 conferences with the Ontario Student Trustee Association. The first was the annual education conference, which was held in Ottawa, and the last was the annual general meeting, which was held in Toronto. At these conferences, we attended lectures on various issues, including menstrual equality advocacy, which has been prominently featured on the OSTA Instagram page. These experiences have been instrumental in shaping my perspective and advocacy efforts. Additionally, I've communicated with many boards, including the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board and other boards like the Halton District School Board to discuss initiatives such as installing vape detectors. These interactions have been crucial in understanding and addressing the broader concerns of our student community. Thank you for allowing me to serve as the student trustee. It has been an honor and a learning experience I will cherish forever.
And we do got a little token for the students trustee, and Trustee Amar, if you don't mind, if I wait until when your peer gets here, so I present to both of you at the same time. And thank you for the work that you have done, and thanking you for living up to your commitment and keeping your promises. So thank you. It's been a great time to serve with you. Thanks. Okay, can I ask Trustee Davey and Trustee Bailey to put this on the floor for me? All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. All right, I'm going to move to item 10 on the agenda, which is trustee appointed to external organization, and that if trustee appointed to any organization. Just so trustee McDonald is in line, and you did ask to bring a report, but unfortunately, I need to let you know that you cannot bring that report tonight, and I will email you and let you know why. Because I had conversation with the Ontario School Board Association around that report, and I don't want to do that in the public, but I will send you an email later tonight. Is that okay, Trustee McDonald?
Well, I guess I have no other choice, so I'll wait to hear what your discussion is about.
Okay. All right. So just for trustee information, and just so trustee know, I won't go into the detail, but it is trustee appointed by this board to external organization to report back to this board. Thank you. So I'll move down to item 11 on the agenda tonight, and that's a approval of the minutes from our previous board meetings. Trustee Cameron, Trustee Johal, putting them on the floor for me. Question, concern? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. I'm going to move down to our committee receipt motion, minutes, and also include motions. So I'm going to go first to our Special Ed Advisory Council of April 18. Who's on that one for me? Is Trustee Benjamin and Trustee Alves. Putting them on the floor for me. Question, concerns? All those in favor? Carries. Out of that meeting also comes a motion from our Special Advisory meeting, and it reads, arising from the, it's a delegation from Erin Muffin and Ann Sirasos, Reen Vocal 1 program review, that the delegation of Erin and Hand Vocal program 1 review be referred to the Director of Education for a response. Trustee Benjamin, Trustee Alves is putting this motion on the floor, and all those in favor? Oh, okay, Trustee Alves got a question.
Pardon me, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir. I just wanted to note, so the way this motion was written originally,
yes,
and I brought this up in committee, it had asked that this that the report in question be brought to the director and this board for response.
Right.
And I think that would be fine, but we actually didn't receive it in SEAC. We were looking at a draft for consultation.
Right.
So SEAC committee, and I believe Superintendent Sakato is here to speak to it. We didn't get to finish doing that process. We're going to finish it at the next SEAC committee meeting. And during that session, I raised to the person who wrote the motion, I said, you know, wouldn't it be appropriate to send the final back to the board? Because there isn't, like, they're still in the consultation phase.
Right.
So I don't know that the director would be able to respond to it, but I'll defer to your leadership, Chair. I don't know.
So at this time, Trustee Al, because it's in front of us to ask the director to respond, we can either not approve the motion, and we can also send it back, or we can choose to approve the motion, and then the director can work with staff to able to develop that response based on what you're telling us tonight. So it would be up to this board, what the board desire.
Mr. Chairman, would we be able to defer by any chance?
Okay, if you you can do that, but you would need support, at least support from your trustee colleagues.
I think I'll try and ask my trustee colleagues, and I do this out of the an abundance of respect, and for my colleague on SEAC that wrote this motion, I'll underscore that, an abundance of respect to her for writing the motion. But procedurally, and I had some conversations with staff about it, it would make more sense to allow them to finish the work they were doing and then have it come before us. So I'll try. I'll see if my colleagues would be interested.
You need a seconder for that. Okay, Trustee Benjamin is seconding that. Okay, all right. So because it's on the floor, Trustee, I think you already spoke to it. Do you have anything else to add? Trustees, you have heard Trustee Hav is asking for your consideration in referring this motion and that this motion come back to the next board meeting. All those in favor of referring this back and that it come back to this board meeting. Okay, look like it's unanimous. So it's carried. Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Okay, great. Good job. Okay, so we're going to move down to our next minutes of our next meeting, which is curriculum equity and student well-being of May the 14th. They are here for receipt. I'm going to go to Trustee Jill Permanelli. You're on that one, right? And Trustee Benjamin is on that one also. Any question or concern? All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Then I'm going to move down to item 12.3, which is the minutes from our policy meeting of May the 21st. Trustee B. McDonald, Trustee Alves, you were part of that. Putting those on the floor for me. Question, concerns? See none. All those in favor? Carries. Out of that, we also got a motion coming out of the policy and governance, and you have it before you. Trustees, that arising from the policy, I'm going to just read everything at the same time, that the donation policy, policy 13 attaches appendix 1 be replaced, that the updated donation policy attached as appendix 2 be recommended for approval by the Board of Trustees. And then we move down to 2, sponsorship policy, that the sponsorship policy attached as appendix 1 be recommended for approval by the Board of Trustees with an effective date of September 1st, 2024. And it's attached as appendix 2. Concussion prevention policy and intervention policy, that the concussion prevention policy and intervention policy attached as appendix 1 be recommended for approval by the Board of Trustees, and that the annual review of this implementation of this policy intervention be received as appendix 3. And then number 4, French language instruction policy, that the French language instruction policy attaches appendix 1 as amended to be approved by this board. And then that the board committee meeting schedule for 2024-25 as committee meeting schedule attached as appendix 1 be approved. Those are all the motion coming out of our governance meeting, and Trustee Alves, Trustee B. McDonald is putting them on the floor for me. Question, concern? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Thank you, trustees. Okay, good. Then we're going to go down to 12.4, which is the physical planning and financial building committee. It's a motion coming out of that meeting, and I'm going to be asking Trustee Cameron and who else is on that one? Trustee Davey. Put them on the floor for me, please. Okay.
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
Sorry, I was trying to intervene, but I guess my internet was a bit wonky because I had a comment I wanted to make with the policies that you're just reading.
Okay, and can you point me to which one, Trustee McDonald?
The sponsorship policy, policy 2.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, I was reading through the policy, and I know sponsorship. There was no mention in terms of trustees, and I was just wondering, in terms of including some kind of guidelines for how sponsorship of trustees work.
Okay. Wow. LaShawn is not here. Okay. So, Trustee McDonald, can I ask that you connect with our policy staff, LaShawna, and have that discussion? And if this needs to be amended, then we can bring it back for an amendment at the next board meeting.
Okay, thanks. So I just want to know I was not in favor of it because I have concerns about the sponsorship of trustee part of it. Thank you.
Okay, all right. No worries. Thank you. All right, thank you. So we'll move on to the motion from the physical planning. Trustee Cameron, Trustee Alves is putting them on the floor for me. And the motion reads that the Transportation and Regional Learning Choice Program, that the revision of transportation using a phase-in approach be approved, starting with elementary student attending Regional Choice Program in September 2024 and extending to grade 9 and grade 10 secondary student in September of 2025. So this is from the PPMB and Financial Building Committee meeting. Okay, question or concern around this motion? We're talking budget now, so it's a good time. All right, see none.
So no, I have a question. Sorry.
Okay.
And it's on the floor up for debate?
Yeah, yes, it's on the floor, Trustee McDonald. Go ahead.
Okay. So I just wanted clarity for what this motion is being considered, because my concern is that if the ministry doesn't provide transportation funded for these programs, will we have to dip into our reserves and continually? Because potentially I think that could bankrupt us if we are just providing, because the transportation is pretty expensive. I just want to know.
I'm going to turn that over to Associate Director Gill, because I remembered coming to this board, we asked staff was to look into this and to tell us about the impact. And I think that went to the Planning and Financial Building Committee meeting. So Associate Director Gill is here and he can explain better to us. So Associate Director, please, can you speak to that?
So thank you, through you, Chair Green. Staff has reviewed the funding that the ministry is providing for 24-25 school year, and this recommendation is based on that funding that we will be receiving from the ministry for student transportation. And as far as it's going forward, we at this point, as much as we know that the ministry will continue to provide the funding, but at a later date, we will be bringing forward a change to the transportation policy, and the policy will include that the regional transportation the transportation to the regional programs will only continue as long as the ministry will continue to provide us the funding.
Thank you. Trustee McDonald, is that sufficient, or do you have a follow-up?
No, I don't. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so all those in favor? Okay, carries. Thank you very much. Awesome. Trustee Johal, go ahead, Vice Chair.
Thank you so much, Chair. And through you, I am so happy that our board is getting ready to phase in bus transportation for the RLCP students. I remember that we adopted Trustee Bailey's motion unanimously, and thank you for that, Trustee Bailey. Since then, coordinated submissions of Associate Director and COO Jaspal Gill with the ministry were fruitful. They secured the funding, and we as a board are now able to deliver to our constituents. As Trustee Bailey said, the idea behind this attempt was to remove barriers to access for the families. This is also a great example of synchronized teamwork of the administration and the elected officials. Thank you, Jaspal Gill, and thank you, Director Throop, for your leadership, and thank you to the staff.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so we are going to move down to, Shrishti, yes, hi. I didn't see you arrive there. Okay, all right. So, Shrishti, we allow your counterpart to say thank you to the board, and we wanted to wait for you to come. We know you're always here, so something happened this evening, and we appreciate you being here. And this being your last board meeting, please take the time to say thank you to your peers and to your colleagues. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Green. You were absolutely correct. There was a lot of traffic and stuff happened, but thank you so much for letting me speak. And now I'll begin. Good evening, everyone. Chair Green, Director Swaroop, trustees, and esteemed members of the Peel District School Board family. As I stand before you today, marking the conclusion of my one-year term as student trustee, I am filled with immense gratitude and pride. This role has been an invaluable experience that has significantly contributed to my professional and personal growth. It has provided me with numerous opportunities and allowed me to serve the PDSB student body with dedication and passion. First, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Chair Green, Director Swaroop, and the Associate Directors. Your unwavering support and guidance throughout my term has been instrumental in my development. Your leadership and vision have inspired me to strive for excellence in all that I do. To all the trustees, thank you for welcoming me into this role and for your mentorship and collaboration. Your commitment to serving the students and community of PDSB is truly commendable, and I have learned so much from each of you. A special thank you to my mentor trustee, Ms. Benjamin. Your wisdom, encouragement, and support have been invaluable in guiding me, and I am deeply grateful for your mentorship. I also want to express my deepest gratitude to the amazing staff at the Peel District School Board. Your hard work and dedication behind the scenes has been crucial in making our initiatives and goals a reality. Your commitment to fostering a positive and inclusive educational environment is truly inspiring. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to my school administration, my principal, Mr. Hansen, and the vice principals, Mr. Griffith, Ms. Panwar, and Mr. Baweja, for their continuous support and encouragement. Their belief in my capabilities has been the cornerstone of my journey. To the students who elected and trusted me to represent them, thank you for your confidence and trust. Your voices have been my driving force. And lastly, to my family, your unwavering support and understanding have made it possible for me to balance my responsibilities and commitments. Thank you for being my rock throughout this journey. As I reflect on the past few months, I am proud of the work that we have accomplished together. In August 2023, I was inaugurated into my role and had the opportunity to meet with the adult trustees, PDSB staff, and Ms. Lockey, who was the former legal counsel for PDSB. In September, I connected with other student trustees across the province, fostering a network of collaboration across the province. In October, I attended the Fall General Meeting in Toronto, where I joined the Curriculum and School Community Advocacy Interest Group and the Public Education Interest Group. November was marked by my involvement with the Consent Culture Committee, advocating for a safer and more respectable school environment. This was in collaboration with Superintendent Stubbings and her department. In December 2023, I organized and supported the PDSB Molson Schools Food Drive, which successfully collected food items from 9 different PDSB schools and donated them to various local organizations. January of this year was significant because I was able to deliver my first board report. In February, I attended the Education Action Conference in Ottawa, where I gained insights and shared best practices with other student trustees. In March, I engaged with discussions regarding AI in education with Superintendent Smith and her department. We worked to explore the future of technology in our classrooms. In April, I contributed to creating a student handbook guide for students entering high school and preparing the incoming PDSB student trustees for their roles. In May of this year, I was honored to receive the Award of Distinction for Education Week. And I was also invited to speak at the PDSB Awards of Excellence ceremony to celebrate the outstanding members of PDSB. This was in collaboration with Superintendent Leonie and her team. I continued my efforts in promoting consent culture and attended the annual general meeting in Toronto this past month. And I was also honored to deliver the closing remarks for the first ever Peel Malton Dance Showcase at Lancaster Public School, which is also the school where I attended for preschool. So it was a full circle moment. Next, I served as a keynote speaker for the Peel Secondary Schools President's Council Conference. And I was also recently at the LEAP Symposium, where I got to witness firsthand the impact of the work done in this building, reaching classrooms and students. I saw how young talent is getting nurtured in PDSP schools and is representing their peers on the board, provincial, national, and international platforms. Reflecting on this past year, I'm immensely grateful for the opportunities and experiences that have come my way. This role has allowed me to grow as a leader, advocate, and individual. The skills and knowledge I've gained will undoubtedly shape my future endeavors. I am thankful for the support and encouragement from everyone who has been a part of this journey. Your belief in me has been a source of strength and motivation. As I step down from my role, I do so with a sense of accomplishment and a heart full of gratitude. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve as student trustee for the Peel District School Board, and I look forward to seeing the continued progress and success of PDSP under the guidance of such dedicated and passionate individuals. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. And I can tell you, speaking on behalf of my colleagues, to witness since you came to this board, the work that you have done, the impact that you have had on your school community, and the various different events that you attend and speak to is a living testimony that you are one of our future leaders. It is, you are so natural at what you do. So I want to encourage you, keep on striving and strive for the top, because there is nothing is going to stop someone like you. So we want to say congratulations. It's a privilege to work with you. I'm going to ask both of you to join me here because I got a little token for you. Just join me in the front. Okay. Okay. Mark, congratulations. And all the best to you, sir. To you, Christy. And all the best. Okay, yes. Okay, so I'm going to ask Trustee Jill Permanelli and Trustee Cole to move receipt of that amazing report. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. All right. Okay, so we're going to move down to staff reports. Item 13, and first we're going to go 13.1, Ministry Directives, Directive number 2, and I'm good. 22. And I'm going to turn it over to Director Suru to introduce who will be speaking to this.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Green, I will now ask Associate Director Harjeet Aujla to introduce the report on Directive 22.
Thank you very much, Director Swaroop, and through you, Chair Green, I would like to highlight that the Directive 22, Eliminating Racial Disparities in Suspensions and Expulsions Progress Report number 4, represents the final report to the Ministry on this directive. This report will provide an update on the Peel District School Board's ongoing progress and work towards eliminating racial disparities in suspensions and expulsions. I would now like to invite Superintendent of Safe and Caring Schools, Michelle Stubbings, to please share the report.
And through you, Chair Green, I would like to share the final report that contains information pertaining to Directive 22, suspensions and expulsions. The report contains the most recent information about our progress towards eliminating racial disproportionalities in suspensions and expulsions. The data in the report updates disproportionalities as of May 24th, 2024. According to our data, the number of suspensions and expulsions is comparable to last year. The disproportionalities for students who identify as African, Black, and Afro-Caribbean continue to exist in the Peel District School Board, however, at a lesser rate than previously reported. Disproportionalities for Indigenous students have decreased from 2.3 times more likely to be suspended in June 2023 to 1.8 as of May 2024. Recently, an operating procedure on refusal to admit or exclusions has been presented to the Director's Office for approval. The procedure clearly outlines the criteria to refuse to admit a student, including how to indicate that a student has been excluded. The number 50 on page 3 of the report was provided based on attendance codes. Most attendance entries do not reflect exclusions. Come September, we are implementing a specific code only for use when a student has been formally refused admission through the exclusion OP. This will allow us to accurately reflect the true number of exclusions. As a senior team, in collaboration with school superintendents, we are committed to continuing to conduct thorough analyses of suspension data to examine our practices, strategies, education, and trainings to decrease the disproportionate impact on African, Black, and Afro-Caribbean and Indigenous students. This analysis will include examining factors such as progressive discipline practices, authentic relationships with students, homeschool partnerships, sense of belonging, and culturally relevant and responsive classroom practices. School superintendents, alongside their principals, continue to interrogate the data, to put faces on the data. We closely monitor the work of Directive 21 and hold schools accountable to this important work. This information provides us with direction as we remain committed to serving Black students and families to ensure academic outcomes and experiences that are positive and nurturing. Special Education, Social Emotional Learning has partnered with the Safe and Caring Schools Department to raise awareness of the impact of the intersection of racism and ableism on progressive discipline processes. In addition, these concepts are interwoven within positive behavior intervention plans and mental health training sessions to ensure awareness of the interconnectedness and impacts on students. The goal is to give educators, including school administrators, teachers, and EAs, the knowledge to be reflective about all decisions that are made around academic supports, progressive discipline, and other proactive measures. With this additional reflection and context, the goal is to reduce the disparities in outcomes for Black, Indigenous, and racialized students. By the end of this summer, over 1,000 educators will have been trained in trauma-informed, trauma-responsive practices in schools. PDSB clinical staff, psychologists, social workers, and speech-language pathologists have also received enhanced training in trauma-informed practices in order to support the increasing complexity of presenting students. With this increased awareness, it is our hope that the impacts of developmental trauma, racial trauma, and event-based trauma are raised as part of a conversation and in building proactive supports for students. We remain steadfast in our duty to collect data and commit to taking a multifaceted approach that addresses the disproportionate impacts on African, Black, and Afro-Caribbean and Indigenous students, as indicated by the suspension data. To this end, schools can strive to co-create identity-affirming, culturally responsive learning environments that are built on the foundations of equity and inclusion. Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Chair. And thank you so much for this report. And, we really appreciate. Oh,
before we go, just let me ask you and Brad.
Oh,
okay. All right.
Okay. Okay, so we can see disproportionalities for Indigenous students coming down to 1.8, but this is a return to numbers seen in the 2018-2019 school year after seeing disproportionalities rise significantly, including up to 2.9 in the 2021-22 school year. the disproportionality for African, Black, and Afro-Caribbean students may have come down to 2.2 to 2.1 over the course of this school year, but it continues to fall within the same range reported over the previous 5-year period, with the exception of the 2020 and 2021 school year, which was a bit of an outlier in a number of the data sets. Community members have raised concerns about disproportionalities increasing for students who are identified within this report as Middle Eastern. The most recent numbers included here bring the number up to 1.8 at year end and demonstrates a continued slight gradual upward trend over 6 years, bringing this disproportionality now to the same level this year as that seen for Indigenous students and nearing what's reported for African, Black, and Afro-Caribbean students. So we see the efforts being made, and I know, like, I see the great work happening at this board, and honestly, we have incredible programming here, and I'm blown away by so many things that are happening. But we do see these numbers continuing to bear out year over year, and the trends sort of hanging tight. And so I suppose my question is, can you help us better understand the context behind these continuing trends? And I understand there are plans underway, and we're hoping to see more progress coming towards the fall. But could you help us better understand what that may look like when we are moving in that direction? Because it's still staying the same, or unfortunately continuing to grow when it comes to the disparities.
Thank you, Trustee Promoli, and through you, Chair Green. I appreciate what you're saying. Certainly the trends in the report, we're all aware of them as a senior team, and we are working to
Teaching
address
and learning
them
through e-learning.
Okay, I'll continue. I think it's important to note for the board that we do have, it's hard to say that transformation takes time, but it does take time. The Equity Accountability Report Card has told us that. I think it's important that the trustees and community are aware that the Equity Department, Special Education, Social Emotional Learning, Curriculum, Safe and Caring Schools, we are all working hard together. School superintendents, we are interrogating the data on a regular basis. We are working with school principals to really narrow down where the trends are happening and to try and understand why. When we know where and why, then we're able to put some targeted supports and interventions in place. So that is happening. It's also important to know that since the directives have come out, we've put a lot of important structures in place to keep addressing the trends that are concerning. So we have newly appointed administrators that are always trained in D21 and Policy 48. They receive training on the principles analysis of incident report in terms of how to conduct a procedurally fair, unbiased investigation when behaviors happen. And again, the ongoing review, almost a monthly review as a senior team of what's happening. We are absolutely committed to going beyond the directives and continuing to work in the next year, 2 year, 5 years to address the trends.
Thank you so much. And just a quick follow-up through you, Chair. I really do appreciate that response, and I think it is. I think it is hard for communities to, the communities that we serve, to see these ongoing trends and have those questions. So I appreciate the ongoing commitment to working towards bringing these numbers more, to eliminating the disparities. And so I know that none of this is easy and none of it happens overnight. And I appreciate the dedication from the team. So thank you. And thank you for, always putting up with the questions. So thank you.
Let me move to Trustee K. McDonald on the line.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So I have a few questions. First, you started in your report saying that this was the final report to the ministry on the directive 22. Will the board continue to get these reports?
Thank you, Trustee McDonald, and through you, Chair Green. We will continue as a senior team to monitor the suspension and expulsion data to ensure that we continue our work to reduce and eliminate racial disproportionalities for Black, Indigenous, and other racialized students.
Okay, thank you. So you're going to continue to monitor. So I need a motion for the reports to continue. So at this time, can I, as a matter arising out of this report, put a motion on the floor that the Board of Trustees continue to get.
Trustee McDonald, there's another report coming that will be offering and will be telling us how often the report will come to board. So we don't need a motion at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, through you, Chair, this question is similar but slightly different to Trustee Promoli because, and I know it probably doesn't only land in your department, Superintendent Stubbins, but in terms of how are we as an organization doing, going beyond posters and ensuring that we are holding students and staff accountable in terms of like racial aggression, because sometimes when somebody insults another person, it may lead to a frustration of that student and things can escalate. And I just on Thursday I was at a track meet and I was very disheartened that a little boy came up to me and was talking to his teacher, but really went to speak to the coach and said that another student at another school said the only reason this particular school was winning because they had scary Black people on it. And I think that in 2024, that our students still feel, it's our Black students are still experiencing a lot of anti-Blackness in their education, and sometimes it escalates because he was very frustrated, but luckily his coach kind of calmed him down. And I know it's not directly, in that case, nobody was suspended or expelled. But the point I was trying to make is a lot of these actions lead to aggression too from other students because they're frustrated. And I guess that's more a comment, than a question to you, Superintendent Stubbins. And also, whilst I 100% support the elimination of racist disparities in suspension, disparities in suspensions and expulsions, and we should be using procedural fairness, I am supportive of it, but I'm unsure what procedural fairness looks like because the outcomes for Black students seem disproportionate for other racial groups. When a Black child swears or behaves in a similar way, for example, to a non-Black student, the consequences still appears to be greater for the Black student. And I was just wondering if we have been tracking, different schools or different sites that seem to have greater disproportionalities with Black students being suspended.
Okay, thank you for the question, Trustee McDonald. I think there are a number of issues in your question, so I'll try and go through them a little bit at a time. Certainly, as a board, we are committed to going beyond the directives. We really just have, begun our work in terms of holding staff and students accountable. In terms of student behavior, we have done a lot, teachers, principals, around the code of conduct assemblies, around explicit lessons to talk to children about racial bullying, about the importance of kindness and empathy, doing work around peer mediation and restorative justice, because the goal is really to have classrooms that are where every child is valued, where they show up as their authentic selves every day, and we don't want any kind of negative behavior happening in our schools. So that is day-to-day work, and I will say I have seen many classrooms and lessons where this takes place, and I'm quite proud of the staff for weaving this into their daily work. In terms of, procedural fairness, it is a legislated requirement. People have the right to know what are the allegations against them. They have the right to a timely investigation, all of those pieces. But I think what you're talking about is really the ongoing need for training around D21 and understanding bias and understanding how we characterize behavior and how that manifests in our decision making. So an important reminder is in policy 48. So principals are required to notify and consult with their superintendents prior to making a decision around issuing a suspension. So school superintendents do a very good job interrogating principal decision making and the procedural fairness through the use of the principal's analysis of incident report to really eliminate bias in our decision making. And I think that addresses your questions, Trustee McDonald. Happy to answer.
Thank you. I just have one more. And first, I just wanted to say kudos to the staff of the other team. Because when I did approach the phys ed teacher there, she handled it really, really well, and she took it seriously. So I was very happy about that.
Trustee McDonald. Trustee McDonald, just wanted to say, I know you're trying to use what happened at the track as an example, but you have to be careful because unless you have permission from that coach or from that family to speak of their student here at this board table, we should not be doing that. I'm just bringing that to your attention so you can always ask your question, but ask it in a different form and not mention location, where it took place and so forth. All right, thank you.
I didn't mention location or where it took place. Now, are we as an organization, Superintendent Stubbins, in our quest to eliminate disparities in suspensions and expulsions, ignoring legitimate cases that warrant expulsions or suspensions for other community groups? And I ask that question as that has been a concern that has been raised with me at different intervals.
Thank you for the question, Chair McDonald, and through you, Chair Green. You know, I believe that in the last few years, we have really improved our practices, our investigation practices, our reporting mechanisms to make sure that we're really looking at the behavior of students. Using 306, sections 306 and 310 of the Education Act, if there's an activity that a principal may or shall consider a suspension, they are required to use the principal's analysis of incident report to conduct their investigation, to ensure procedural fairness, to interrogate bias, and if the behavior meets the threshold of a suspension, then a suspension should be issued.
Okay, thank you. And you said it should, or is it like, does the superintendent make sure it's issued?
Well, thank you for the question, Chair. Every situation is different, but it is the requirement of principals to conduct the investigation, to make a determination and give consideration to a suspension. But prior to that suspension being issued, they are required to notify and consult their school superintendent.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Stubbins. No more questions.
Trustee Alves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to take a quick moment to pay a special note of gratitude to Associate Director Harjit Ajla and Superintendent Ms. Stubbins, who have gone above and beyond to produce this report, who specifically, Associate Director Harjit Ajla, who has taken time out of his workday to meet with me to answer my questions, to walk me through some of the information before us tonight. I remember the last time we got an update on this report, I'd asked for certain sections to be included. We saw this go to student wellness, the Committee for Student Wellness. They have been invaluable partners. So I do want to take that moment. Thank you. I only have one question, super quick. When we're looking at the disparity, the disproportionality index, I assume this is the case, but I just thought I'd ask. Where like some communities are larger than others, are we accounting for that weight in the proportionality?
Thank you, Trustee Delves. Yes, we are.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I just want to get a clarification. When we're talking about the types of violence, are these unique cases? Because in the report it mentioned that some may have been counted more than once. So are those numbers unique numbers, or one's case could equal three numbers could be one case?
Thank you for the question, Trustee Bailey. Respectfully, are we talking specifically about D22 here or the other report?
Suspension. Okay, we'll get there.
Thank you.
Never mind.
I'm seeing no other question. It's already on the floor. I see no other question. All those in favor of the report, receive the report. Carries. Thank you. All right, so we are going to move to the next report, which is 13.2. Director Sru.
Thank you, Chair Green. And before I introduce the report, I'd like to respond to Trustee K. McDonald's question. This is the report that the board has committed to bringing every 6 months, so in January and June each year. We call it the semi-annual update report, and therefore we will definitely be bringing this data to you twice a year. And with that, I pass it over to AD Ojla to introduce the report.
Thank you very much, Director Swaroop. And through you, Chair Green, I would like to highlight that the semi-annual suspension, expulsion, and safe schools report represents the second report for the 2023-2024 school year and builds on the information previously shared in January. This report will highlight suspension, expulsion data, as well as safe schools incident reports and employee workplace violent incident reports. I would now like to invite Superintendent of Safe and Caring Schools, Michelle Stubbings, to please share the report.
Thank you, Associate Director Ojla. And through you, Chair Green, I would like to share the latest report that contains information regarding student suspensions, expulsions, and safe schools data as per the charts contained in this report. This report contains data about 3 key pieces of information. It is important to note that the data for this current school year is from September to May 24th, and the data is compared to the last school year, September to June. The number of suspensions between this school year and the last one is comparable. In line with Safe and Caring Schools Policy 48 and the Education Act, the Peel District School Board has taken a clear and definite stance on negative behavior, including incidents of violence, hate, sexual violence, and the use of and/or possession of weapons. Suspensions for arbitrary reasons have been eliminated. Principals have been trained to closely follow board policies and operating procedures and are consulting with school superintendents prior to decisions being made. We have principals confirm consultations with SOEs have taken place prior to issuing a suspension. Expulsions and suspensions are appropriate consequences for particular behaviors. However, student learning, reflection, and commitment to change are also important components of helping students return to a successful placement and pathway. Building the capacity of schools to implement restorative justice practices has been a significant focus of our work this year. The Safe Schools incident reports should be completed fairly and without bias, prejudice, or favoritism towards or against any student based on protected grounds under the Ontario Human Rights Code or for any other reason. When a staff member observes a behavior for which suspension may be considered, they are required to submit a report. Once the report is received by the principal begins an investigation and will determine an appropriate outcome. Not all reports will result in a suspension. While the number of suspensions is comparable, Safe Schools incident reports have increased. This can be contributed to a number of factors. Many incidents have been witnessed by multiple staff, resulting in multiple reports. Not all reports result in a suspension, and teachers are not trained to characterize behavior for which a suspension must or may be considered. This training falls to school administration. The Employee Workplace Violence Report is required under the Occupational Health and Safety Act and includes 3 types of reporting criteria: the exercise of physical force, the attempt to exercise physical force, and a threat to exercise physical force. It is important to note that mitigating factors such as a student's special education needs are not taken into consideration. A report must be completed. These reports help our safety partners work with school admin teams to ensure that staff have the necessary PPE, that they can update safety plans and positive behavior intervention plans, to have training in place, and to be proactive to address behavior. It is important to note that the data is aggregate, and due to privacy and the possibility of being able to discern a particular incident, the data should be discussed on a system basis and not on an individual student or school basis. The Peel District School Board will continue to promote safety and well-being for all. This report reaffirms our resolve to prioritize restorative justice, progressive discipline, and inclusive and equitable learning environments. The next report will be available in January 2025. Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Superintendent Stubbins. Trustee Cameron and Trustee Johal putting this on the floor for me. And Trustee Promanelli has their hand up. I'm going to remind Trustee, you got 5 minutes to speak. Okay. All right. I'm going to remind us. Okay. Please. Thank you. Trustee Promanelli.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you again, Superintendent Stubbings, for this update. And we really appreciate the work that's going on here. I had a question. So within my community, I hear often about the differences between the K-8 model and the elementary middle school model. And I was wondering if you could share with us if, when examining disparities and cases of discipline, if you have compared these 2 models and identified if there are any differences or disparities in suspensions, expulsions, or any other concerns related to discipline or safety between these 2 models.
Thank you for the question, Trustee Promoli, and through you, Chair Green. That has come up in many of our conversations as a senior team, and we are looking into that.
Thank you. And is that something that you could bring a report back to Curriculum, Equity, and Student Wellbeing for us to better understand that? And I'm not asking for tomorrow because I recognize that that's a lot of work, but it is something that has been coming up more frequently, and I'd be interested if that would be something that we could hear back more about. Do we need a motion for that, or is that something, Chair?
As you would know, Trustee Promanelli, that you can't direct staff by yourself. You need a board to do that. But I think that's a discussion that I'm going to suggest that is a discussion that you may have with Superintendent Stubbins offline and take it from there. How about that?
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? I am seeing no more. Okay.
I
One
have
online?
a question, Chair.
Okay. All right. Okay. Trustee McDonald, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you. And thank you, Superintendent Stubbins, and thank you, Director Swaroop, for your comment. Okay. But this report speaks about the suspension and expulsions, the Safe School Incident Report, Employee Workplace Violence Report, and violence incidences. What I would like to ensure that we keep getting as a board is the Disproportionalities Index Report, which is different than what was presented in 13.1. So I guess I would like a motion to ensure that we have this disproportionality index by racial background be included in either it can come up a separate report, or it could be included in the suspension, expulsion, and safe schools data semi-annual update report.
I'm going to turn it over to Director Swaroop to address that.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee K. McDonald, for the question. And through you, Chair, the reason that this report does not have those details because when we were bringing the quarterly updates as required by the ministry, we had that data there. This is our report, and we can always add relevant data to it. So moving forward, we will look into that. Thank you.
Thank you. So when you say look into that, meaning that you won't be, because I'd like it as this should be included in the report. That's I'm wondering if I needed a motion to direct, because something I would like to see, not looking into it, but
Trustee McDonald, that's what the director is saying, that she will have that, because before we had that in the report. This is an internal report, but coming for future report, that she will ensure that is added to the report.
okay, I didn't get that from the word she said, but I have your reassurance, Chair Green, that this disproportionate index by racial background will be added to this suspension,
Yes.
expulsion, and safe school data semi-annual update report. Thank you.
Trustee Bailey.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Back to my original question that I was asking. So what you were saying was, these are not unique numbers in this report, right?
Thank you, Trustee Bailey, and through you, Chair Green. If I understand you correctly, one incident could result in multiple reports.
So how would we find out what the unique numbers are for these?
Unique, I mean, how many exact incidents there are?
Correct.
I'd have to look into that and get back to you.
Okay, thank you. The other question I have, through you, Chair, is a follow-up. And I don't know if you will have the answer to this one, but when we're looking at the year-over-year comparison for employee groups, there's been some significant increase from 2022, 2023 to 2023, 2024. Is there any reasoning for that? Like, do you guys have looked at that and said, what could have caused that?
Thank you, Trustee Bailey, for the question, and through you, Chair Green. We have looked at that. We have discussed it. And certainly, I think in terms of, for example, employee violence incident, and I don't want to disregard when staff are hurt, because it does happen, but there is a lot of clarity being provided and around the requirement to report. It's also important to note that the threshold is very low. The Occupational Health and Safety Act will say that you must submit a report if somebody, if a student throws an eraser at you, for example. So we do go through the data to find out, and there is some data in the report about, specifics to help, understand that. In terms of the Safe Schools Incidents Report, again, there could be multiple reports for one incident, but it's really the requirement of the principal to go through and conduct a proper investigation to see if it does meet the threshold for a suspension. Important to note that staff are not trained on characterizing behaviors. That's really falls to the responsibility of the principal.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you again is one report, well, one incident can generate multiple reports in this one as well. So there's not a unique number in this one either. Thank you.
Trustee Benjamin. No, you're good? All right, any other questions? I'm seeing none. It's already on the floor. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Superintendent Stubbins, thank you for that report and the continued work in that department. Amazing. All right, we're going to move down to 13.3, and we are going to be receiving a presentation. We get this presentation annually from Executive Director Brian Hubbs, and today he has with him Valerie Davis, Chair of the Learning Foundation, and also the former trustee and chair of this board, Janet McDougall. Mr. Hobbs, it's your turn, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Green, and members of the Peel School Board of Trustees and Director Swaroop, for giving me the opportunity to speak to you tonight about the positive difference that the Peel Learning Foundation is making for students this past year. You'll find lots of good information about this in the impact report that was shared with you. My name is Brian Hobbs, as I've been told, and I'm pleased that I'm joined tonight by Valerie Davis, our foundation chair, Janet McDougall, former chair of the foundation, Froza Udin, a board member and director of the foundation, and also Sarah Smith, who is our development coordinator and also a former PDSB student. So when staff give reports, board members will say it's the right size or it's too long. So I'm going to do you a quick favor. If I could summarize the impact report in 30 seconds or less, it would be this. This past year, we helped more students than ever before in more schools than ever before. And as you can see from the map, right across the school community, and as you can see from the donor list from the Hopeful Tomorrows campaign, we enjoy broad community support. I'm going to give you a bit of background because some trustees I recognize from the whole time I've been here, and there's lots of new faces. So the organization that came to be known as the Peel Learning Foundation was actually conceived of by the Board of Trustees of the PDSB. The vision of the Board of Trustees at that time was to create a charitable organization to help students in need participate on a level playing field in the journey that is their education. That is how the Peel Learning Foundation was created. Since 2019, the foundation has helped more than 10,000 students in need in Brampton, Caledon, and Mississauga. And in that time, we've supported students in the majority of PDSB schools. The foundation is incorporated in Ontario under the Ontario Corporations Act, and we are registered with the Canada Revenue Agency as a registered charitable organization. We are the only registered charitable organization whose sole mission is to support PDSB students. And we help students in two programs. The Student Emergency Needs Program provides support for students to cover emergency needs such as food, hygiene items, clothing, or other needs. And the Student Backpack Program provides fully equipped backpacks for students in K-3, grades 4 to 8, and 9 to 12. We've also been providing refurbished Chromebooks since the onset of the pandemic. The impact that you have in front of you is about more than numbers. It's about individual students and the barriers they each face, and how we as a community and the community that's supporting the foundation have helped bring them hope. As you can see in the impact report, every year since our inception, the foundation has provided more support for more students every year. And this past year, we helped 50% more students than the year prior. So here are a few examples of what we hear back from schools after supporting a student at the school. From Peel Alternative School North, Trustee McDonald, I believe this is one of your schools, quote, "This student lives independently and relies heavily on school snack and lunch programs. The student works long hours to pay their bills, which impacts their ability to attend school. The student used funds from the foundation to purchase groceries and hygiene items and to help supplement their part-time earnings. The student was able to focus more on their school and they were less stressed about finances." From Levi Creek Public School, Trustee Promoli, I believe this is one of your schools. PLF grant money has been instrumental in the basic needs of children at our school. For all three grants, the families needed emergency support with clothing as they are new to the country and it was their first winter in Canada. Along with other donations from staff, the families used this money to purchase much needed boots, coats, and clothing to keep warm in the winter. And from Dunrankin Public School, Trustee Benjamin, I believe this is one of yours. The PLF grants that were accessed, and all of these came to me unrequested, I might add. The PLF grants that were accessed this year by Dunrankin families had a huge impact. We saw students able to attend school with new seasonally appropriate clothing that families purchased using Walmart gift cards provided by the grant. We heard from families that they used the gift cards to buy winter boots and coats, as well as to provide multiple days worth of underwear and socks. Some of our newcomer refugee children only had one set of clothing. And it was very difficult for families to wash these daily as they are residing in hotels as shelter. Parents who received the gift card also shared with me, this is to the principal, that they bought personal hygiene items, soap, shampoo, toothpaste, and deodorant for their children so that they could feel clean and comfortable. Some mentioned that having the ability to purchase a preferred type of product provided dignity and comfort, as opposed to the generic products the hotel provided. Many of the grant recipients from our school are unhoused and residing in hotels or the shelter system where parents report their basic needs are not or are barely met. Our families and ourselves are grateful for the continued support of the foundation. These are just 3 stories. The number on that report, I think it's 2,662. Sarah and I read all of them. I send them on a bi-weekly basis to the board to make them cry. They most often do every time. These stories represent the real-life barriers and challenges faced by students in the PDSB school system. And our goal at the foundation is to be able to help every student who turns to us in their time of need. With a significant increase in need this past year, the foundation knew that we had to do something different to raise more money because so many students were facing hardship. So we created the Hopeful Tomorrows campaign, where we asked the Peel community, businesses, community groups, and others for support. And we asked PDSB staff for support, and families and caregivers. And the Peel community and the PDSB community responded as we raised more than $240,000 for students in need through the Hopeful Tomorrows campaign. The foundation is fortunate that we enjoy broad support from the Peel community, the PDSB community. We already have hundreds of staff who donate through our pre-existing payroll donation program. We get support from hundreds of PDSB families, parents, and caregivers when we communicate with families about the foundation by email, which we do 3 times a year, and as we have done for years. We appreciate the ongoing support we get from unions and staff associations like PPVPA. Dozens of PDSB schools chose to fundraise for PLF this year alone. More than 40 schools ran a Toonie Tuesday campaign to support the foundation. This is an email I received from the principal at Cashmere Public School. Over my years as VP and P, I've relied on the generosity of the foundation for many of my families. Without this support, many of my students would be hungry at school. The foundation is an amazing benefit to our board and our community. At Cashmere, we have committed to the foundation as our charity of choice for things like Toonie Tuesday and dedicating a month of our pizza proceeds to the foundation. And so I hope, it's my hope, it's Valerie's hope, it's Janet's hope, it's Afroza's and Sarah's and all the board members. It's our hope that we can deepen our partnership with the school board to not only continue to make your original vision come true and stay true, but to ensure that the foundation continues to grow in strength and effectiveness. We remain steadfast in our commitment to supporting PDSB students, and we hope to continue working with the board on fundraising and outreach campaigns so that we can support more students in need in the coming years. So my request to you as PDSB Board of Trustees is simply this. Based on the 2023 impact presented to you tonight and the positive impact we've had on 10,000 students in need, the Peel Learning Foundation hopes to be considered the charity of choice by the Peel District School Board. Thank you kindly for the opportunity to speak with you tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Hobbs. I'm going to ask Trustee B. McDonald, Trustee Cameron to put this on the floor for me. And to say on behalf of the board, we thank you for the work that you do. Brian, you and the staff over there, I know you have a small staff, but you do great work. And we have seen that firsthand, especially during the time of COVID. We saw that, and you know, it's amazing. And just so you know, tonight we heard your acts that we make the foundation charity of choice. There is the director and I had some preliminary discussions. So what we will be doing as a board, we will be meeting and we will have this discussion and we'll come back to you. And I think based on what we're seeing and we normally support other charities and the work that you're doing. This is something that I can tell you, I'm looking at my trustees across the table, and this is something that is of interest to us. So we will discuss this and we will come back to you. We'll invite you maybe back in the fall or sometime, you and your team, to let you know next step. But definitely it's something that we're going to be talking about. Because we want to, and let me be bold and said, we want our money to stay in Peel, to support our Peel student. So thank you. I'm just gonna if anybody has any question for Brian in terms of the report. Okay, Kathy McDonald and Stan Cameron. So Kathy McDonald first.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Chair. I just wanted, you mentioned there's a small staff. What is the cost of the salary for the foundation? The total cost for Brian and all the small staff?
Thank you for the question. Through you, Chair Green, is that a matter that is discussed in open forum?
No, we don't. So Trustee McDonald, that's not something that we discuss in the public in terms of this, the salary of staff.
Oh, well, I thought that when foundations give reports, I don't need individual staff. As a collective, what portion of this money collected goes to, isn't that something the public should have available? And I didn't ask what is Brian's salary, what is the other staff. I said the small staff, the collective, what is their salary? Every other foundation, you can go on United Way, they know what percentage of the staff.
Yes, and that's something
secret.
That is something when you're doing an impact report or financial report that you can go and you can look to. Brian also, I think Brian is clear that this trust, this foundation is a registered charity, and you can see that portion also on the charity. But Brian want to just address that quickly.
This is an annual report through you, Chair.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair, all of the requirements imposed on the foundation by the Canada Revenue Agency to file a T3010 as well as audited financial statements are available both on the Canada Revenue Agency website and the foundation website. We're just in the process of completing the audit for our 2023 statements, which will be posted once they're approved by the board.
Thank you. Okay, Stan.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Thank you, Brian and team, for a wonderful report. I certainly appreciate from my own experience as a kid what it meant to actually go to folks like you for help. And I think what you do is really wonderful work. I don't need to know how much you make. I need to know how many children you serve and what their families get out of that. And I heard that tonight, and I deeply appreciate all the efforts. I would just ask one question through you, Chair. When we do have the discussion about Mr. Hobbs' request, can we have an explanation among us what it means to be the charity of choice? What does that mean for other, not now, sir, but just if we could table that for our discussion, I'd like to understand it better.
All right, so what I can do, Mr. Hobbs, if I can ask you if you can just between now and say maybe October, if you could put a little synapse, what does that mean, what the big picture is, and that when we start having that discussion, we can have it for trustees, okay? All right, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, and just before I ask for approval, Mr. Hobbs, just want you to know, because I heard money for rent and so forth, a lot of families struggling to pay their rent. We also have students who reach certain age that are not living at home, struggling to pay their rent. I'm just gonna let you know that if you ever meet any of those families that are struggling, however, they just have to be a citizen or landed immigrant in the country, you can refer them to my organization. We got some funds that we could help these families with, okay? All right, thank you. All those in favor? Thank you, carries. we are now going to move down to 14 and our agenda, which is our letter that this board has directed myself and Director Saru to write on behalf of this board to the minister. It is in your report and it's gone, as I stated a few nights ago. So it is just here for receipt. Trustee Johal and Trustee Davies are putting on the floor for me. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Trustee, item 15, trustee motion for consideration. I have none. Trustee notice of motion. I'm going under 16.1. There is a proposed amended to the Peel proposed procedure bylaws. I'm going to ask Trustee Cameron to just read that for me, please.
I'll do that, Chair. This is a notice of proposed amendments to the Peel District School Board procedure bylaw submitted by Chair David Green. Be it resolved that notice is hereby provided that amendments to the procedure bylaw will be brought to the Board of Trustees for consideration at the July 2nd, 2024 board meeting. That the following amendments be made to the procedure bylaw. 1. From section 5.1.2, board and committee meetings that fall on a statutory holiday will be held at another time. Item 2, from section 8.3 regarding the delegation process. Starts with a request to delegate. Delegates must submit a delegation request form as follows. Requests must be received a minimum of 48 hours prior to the commencement of a standing or statutory committee meeting. For example, board standing and statutory committee meeting agendas are generally posted on the board's public website by 4:30 p.m. the Friday prior to a meeting to be held the following Wednesday. In this case, delegation request forms will be received up until 4:30 p.m. on the Monday prior to the meeting. Alternative timelines may be considered or required with the approval of the committee chair or board chair for the purpose of recognizing statutory holidays. For our consideration next meeting, Chair.
Yes, and I got Trustee B. McDonald is putting. Yeah, it's a notice, and just let you know that at the next board meeting we'll put it on the floor, and I do have a mover and a seconder for that. Okay. All right, so it's a notice. All right, thank you. Appreciate that. So, okay. We're going to move down to item 17, and that's adoption of the closed session report. Trustee Johal and Trustee Hobbs. All those in favor? Thank you. All right, I'm going to move to student success, the student success. But before we go there, tonight, technically, it's a lot. We do got one more board meeting on the 2nd of June, and that is to deal with a budget. But on behalf of this board of trustees, before I go there, because when I finish July 2nd, when I finish, we're going to move to adjournment. But I want to take the time on behalf of the entire Board of Trustees, my colleagues, to take the time to recognize and appreciate our staff, our students, families, and the community for your partnership and your collaboration. Without you, the many success that we have had over this year would not be possible. And to our amazing director and her team, for helping us navigate some really rough waters this year. But together, we have overcome many obstacles and challenges. And that is to show us as a board what we can do when we work together as a team. And thus, we have seen some amazing success. We have seen our students thrive. We have seen students that are falling behind have been lent a hand and to say, come up, you can do it. There is nothing that will stop us if we continue to work together as a board of trustees and staff. And I want to say that all of these achievements that we have seen oftentimes We hear many noises, we hear many protests, and some of the things that we are not doing. Yes, we understand that there's challenges, there's more we can do, but at the end of the day, I believe that we should be proud of the accomplishment that we have accomplished over the last year. And to our student trustees, for your amazing leadership, for your peers, thank you. Thank you for standing tall for your peers and show up whenever they call on you. You show up at these board meetings, you challenge us, and you also help us to understand that we need to see things through the student eyes, and we appreciate that. So I want to thank each and every one tonight, and to our community that also challenge us. Yes, sometimes we may be frustrated, but we appreciate the challenge because it's the challenge what help us focus on what's important, and that's student achievement. And together, as we move forward, I encourage each and every one of us that we continue to focus on what's important, the priority, and that's student achievement. Now our board have a roadmap, our strategic plan. Let us focus on that and continue, let that be the driving force of what we do as a board, where we go as a board. And we continue to inspire every child in this board to ensure that they reach their full potential. And we continue, as we continue, let us remember that we continue to hold each other accountable as we build our capacity, we build our staff capacity, we ensure that our staff and students are feeling safe, we ensure that each and every one is included in every decision we make. Every voice matters at this board table. So on behalf of the entire Board of Trustees, thank you. Thank you for your partnership and your collaboration. At this time, I'm going to turn over to our last item, our student success story.
Nearly 800 people participated in Peel District School Board's first ever powwow, including students from across Peel District School Board and other districts. The powwow is a beautiful way to share Indigenous culture with the community, and for Indigenous students, it's an important act of reclamation of their identities and traditions. The inaugural powwow was themed Honoring Our Youth, affirming the strength and identity of the younger generation. It was a collaborative effort between Peel District School Board's Indigenous Education team, who are a part of the Equity, Indigenous Education, School, and Community Relations Department, as well as community partners. Planning began January 2024. After a 5-year hiatus, the Special Olympics returned to Hazel McCallion Senior Public School in a huge way. Nearly 90 students in grades 6 to 8 participated, including those from Bristol Road, Thomas Street, Tompkin Road, Hillside, Lisgar, and Hillcrest schools. The event was a vibrant celebration filled with games, music, refreshments, and lots of laughter. Students shined as they played games such as ladder pong, beanbag toss, horseshoe toss, soccer kick, and bowling. More than 160 people joined the celebration, cheering on the students and welcoming back an incredible event that has a long cherished legacy at Hazel McCallion. The ICANN Games took place May 29th at Larkspur Public School, and it was truly a day of celebration. Students with special needs across all the elementary schools in the Punjabi family of schools participated, with grade 5 students from Larkspur supporting as leaders who also ran all of the activities. A tradition for the past 7 years, the ICANN Games is organized by 2 very passionate teachers at Larkspur, Pat and Stephanie. Students had a great time and look forward to the next edition of this popular event.
My name is Sarvesh.
How old are you?
I'm 7 years old.
And when did you start playing chess?
I was playing chess in Corona time. My dad and grandfather played chess, and they taught me how to play chess. My mentor is in my city in India. There is a master called Balaji, and he's my master. And I like Magnus Carlsen, Gukesh, and Pragyananda.
What is your most exciting experience that you've had so far? And are you looking forward to going to the World Championship?
Yeah, and if I win the Quebec, I'm going to the World Championship, and it's in Italy.
In Italy?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. You're so lucky. Okay, so do you know when the World Championships is in Italy?
In Italy, it's in November 2024.
Oh, so it's next fall. Okay, good. Okay, so what is your favorite opening?
My favorite opening is King's Pawn Game and Carol Can Defense.
And what's your least favorite opening to play against?
My least favorite opening is playing against the opening is called Grab opening.
Okay. And you told me about your favorite mentors and people you like, but do you have a favorite chess match of all time?
Yeah, I do. It's Gukesh versus Magnus Carlsen and Pragyananda versus Magnus Carlsen. Pragyananda versus Magnus Carlsen recently came now in Norway Chess 2024.
Is there anything else you want to tell us about chess?
No.
Nothing?
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you, and I think your family is too.
Thank
and
you.
You know what? I think all of Silver Creek and the Peel District School Board are so amazed and proud of you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Students made it really difficult to pick a winner at this year's Excellence in Eloquence competitions, which saw 23 students respectively compete in both the junior and intermediate regional competitions. The junior winner, Brookmead Public Schools Hazem, spoke on the importance of failure, while Elena from Homeland Senior Public School was crowned the intermediate winner. Her speech on positive peer pressure spoke to how the positive peer pressure from her friends helped her learn English, having immigrated from Jordan and only speaking Arabic when she arrived in Canada. Anu Aurora is the principal of Peel Virtual Secondary School and a longtime advocate for how technology can be used to enhance learning. Through her work in the board as well as with the Ontario eLearning Consortium, Anu focuses on developing engaging learning experiences that connect with a variety of learners and implementing best practices that benefit both students and educators.
Hello, I'm Anu Aurora, the proud coordinating principal of eLearning and PVSS, and I'm thrilled to share the exciting journey of our school with you. When PVSS launched in 2022 as the first fully virtual secondary school in our board and across the province, we were a bit of a mystery. Today, just 2 years later, we are thriving and revolutionizing education through online learning. At PVSS, we empower students to imagine, innovate, and be inspired. Engaging 600 students synchronously and 1,800 asynchronously, we create vibrant virtual communities where every student feels seen, heard, and valued. Our students dynamically engage with the Ontario curriculum, mastering the invaluable skills of digital literacy while embracing the transformative potential of AI, all to cultivate essential skills for the future. We design immersive activities that nurture creativity and curiosity, providing opportunities for students to showcase their talents in various ways. Beyond academics, PVSS nurtures students' social and emotional well-being through a vibrant array of activities. Our clubs provide enriching experiences for all. Our staff continually push boundaries, unlocking the full potential of online learning like no other. We amplify student voices and celebrate their identities by engaging with our community through podcasts featuring diverse perspectives from poets, entrepreneurs, equity leaders, and many others. The future is now at PVSS, where we are reshaping education through online learning. There's no mystery here, just a thriving, dynamic community. To learn more, please visit our website at pvss.peelschools.org.
There's one more good news story for which I will pass it over to Trustee Cameron.
Thank you, and through you, Director and Chair. We're very pleased to announce, and this is fairly hot off the press, the board has received approval of $32.5 million from the ministry for the building of a brand new school in Mayfield West number 2 public school is where this will be at Mayfield, north of Mayfield Road at Chinguzi. If you are driving the area, the development is coming out of the ground as you drive by. It's very active. We're moving children as they move into some of our holding schools. So there was an urgency about this. We had on May the 31st press conference, and Director Swaroop came, Associate Director Gill came, Vice Chair Johal came, Chair Green was everywhere else, I think, and I was there, and we had Minister Lecce and Dufferin Khaled and MPP Jones there to make the announcement. It was a happy day. It's a happy moment. We need this desperately for the community. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe my favorite superintendent right now, Superintendent Au, was there as well and helped us just do everything to get the school. We presented this we invited them to come to Aloha Public School because it's near where the site is, but we didn't want to stand outside in case it was raining or, for goodness sake, snowing almost here. It's at 850 pupil places, so it's a big school. It has 3 daycare ages, infant care, toddler, and preschool. There are 4 rooms dedicated to those children, 2 of them for preschool, 1 for the other 2. And we committed to having a shovel in the ground for this project sometime in the year 2025. For all of you who have been around long enough to know how long it takes to do that, will know that will take a bit of a push and a miracle, but we said it out loud. We said it in the press conference. It's in the media, and we are working towards that. I should say that although we are a board that is losing a little bit of enrollment, and we wish it was otherwise, but we do have some very active areas within the board. So we're about to move Malala Yousafzai, right, from a holding school into their actual school in September. We're moving Mount Pleasant number 9, which is a brand new school underway, into the old Aloha holding school where Malala is vacating. We have Caledoni's Public School replacement building, waiting for final approval from the region. And that school will move from its current capacity of 250 to 850, and that new school will be built, the old school will be taken down. And then we have the Mayfield West number 2 public school with shovel in the ground in 2025. So it's a good news story. It's a super positive move forward, and there's lots of vibrancy around the growth areas that we do have in the board. So thank you, Director. I want to say this openly. When we had this press conference and all of us others spoke about this amazing 32.5 million and this building and 850 kids and childcare spaces, and it's going to be wonderful. It's what the community needs. But when Director Swaroop spoke, she didn't speak about a building. She spoke about programs for children, mental health needs, all of the things that reminded me why I'm not a director. She was magnificent, and I appreciated that, Director, very much. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Cameron. Appreciate that and all that great information. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. And once again, thank you to everyone that is here tonight and for your time and your patience. Trustee Cole and Trustee Davey is moving adjournment for me. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Have a good night.